It started with something small, a couple of kids whispering to their moms about strange beeping sounds in the neighborhood playground, little blinking lights near the playhouse roof that didn't belong there. Most parents brushed it off, thinking kids imagine things, right? Until one dad, while pushing his son on the swing, glanced up and froze. There was a tiny lens glinting from the top of the playhouse, tucked away where no toy should have been. That was the moment whispers turned into full-blown suspicion. Word spread like wildfire at barbecues, at bus stops, at those painfully long HOA meetings. Something was wrong with the playground, the one place that was supposed to be safe. Then another parent found a small black box hidden inside a fake rock by the sandbox, and that was its suspicion became alarm. Police got involved, quietly at first, but what they uncovered was worse than anything people had joked about. Multiple cameras, not just for video, but wired for audio too. Every giggle, every secret, every made-up game between kids had been recorded. When they traced the signal back, it led straight to Karen, the HOA member everyone knew as the neighborhood watchdog. She was the one who wrote those nasty notes about trash cans and filed complaints about mailbox paint. And suddenly, she was at the center of something far darker. Karen tried to spin it, said she was only doing it for safety, protecting the kids from kidnappers, from strangers. But the evidence told another story. Police seized her computer, and what they found made parents sick to their stomachs. Folders labeled by name, date, and even the children's behaviors. She had been cataloging playground chatter like it was her personal database. Parents who once rolled their eyes at her rules now saw her for what she was, someone who had violated the very trust she claimed to protect. The playground was shut down, taped off like a crime scene, while the community boiled with anger. The case exploded in the media. Reporters swarmed the courthouse, dubbing it the playground spy scandal. Inside, prosecutors laid out the devices one by one, cameras disguised as decorations, disguised as toys. And then they played clips. Children's voices, innocent songs, tiny secrets now echoing in a courtroom like evidence from a horror movie. One mom ran out crying when she heard her daughter singing. A father clenched his fists so hard his knuckles went white. The air was thick with rage. Karen's defense? That was all about safety. But if that was true, why hadn't she told anyone? Why keep it secret? Why never ask permission? The prosecutor cut right through it. Safety isn't hiding cameras in a sandbox. Safety isn't cataloging the voices of children without their parents knowing. The jury wasn't buying it, and neither was anyone else. Neighbors who once tolerated her now avoided her entirely. Her house became a symbol of shame, littered with angry notes on the front door, words like shame, traitor, and stay away from our kids. Parents warned their children not to walk near her yard. Even the HOA board, which once let her run wild, scrambled to distance themselves, suddenly promising real, transparent security instead of whatever she had been doing. And just when people thought the story couldn't get darker, reporters dug up her past. Photos of kids riding bikes, notes about teens loitering, license plate logs. She had been doing this for years, obsessively documenting her neighbors. The cameras weren't an accident. They were the climax of a long obsession. Parents started whispering about lawsuits, about kicking her out of the HOA completely. To the community, the trial was just a formality. She was already guilty in their eyes. The final day of court was suffocating. Parents filled the benches, holding hands like they were bracing for impact. The prosecutor's closing words cut deep. This wasn't safety, this was betrayal. Karen sat stiff as the jury filed in. When the foreperson read guilty on multiple counts of illegal surveillance and unlawful recording of minors, gasps filled the room. Parents cried, some out of relief, others out of anger that it had come to this at all. The judge handed down probation, heavy fines, and community service, barring her from ever serving on any HOA board again. To some, the punishment felt too light. But the guilty verdict mattered. It branded her not as a busybody, but as a criminal. The playground was rebuilt, new equipment installed, every inch swept for devices. Slowly, children returned, laughter filling the air again while parents watched with cautious eyes. Karen, meanwhile, walked out of that courthouse with cameras flashing in her face, no longer the rule enforcer, just the neighbor who spied where she never should have. And the neighborhood? They were left asking themselves, how did it take this long to see what she was capable of? How much trust had already been shattered beyond repair? And that's the part that sticks with me. The playground is open again, but the shadow of what happened still lingers. So let me throw it to you: as justice served? Or does she get off too easy? Do you think punishment can ever restore the trust she destroyed? Or is betrayal like that permanent? I want to hear your take. Drop a comment. Tell me how you see it, because this is one of those stories where the line between safety and control got twisted into something none of us saw coming. To you'd think after a guilty verdict and a courtroom packed with furious parents, that would have been the end of it. Karen fades away, the playground gets rebuilt, kids start playing again, case closed, right? You're not even close. Because here's the thing about communities: grudges don't just die out, they linger. And in this neighborhood, the tension started bubbling all over again the minute Karen tried to come back. See, after court, she moved back into her house like nothing happened. She'd do her little morning walk to get the paper, drive her same car, water her plants, like she expected everyone to eventually forget. But nobody forgot. Parents still whispered at the bus stop, kids still crossed the street when walking past her yard. And then one night, about 2 weeks after the trial, somebody spray-painted "spy" across her garage door in big red letters. The cops came, but you could tell they weren't in a rush to solve that mystery. Half the neighborhood probably wanted to sign the can of spray paint themselves. The HOA board tried to calm everyone down, called an emergency meeting in the clubhouse. That night, the place was packed, standing room only, parents glaring, kids left at home with babysitters. The board promised stricter transparency, regular sweeps of common areas, even floated the idea of hiring private security. But then a new problem popped up. A dad named Marcus raised his hand and asked, so if Karen was doing this for years without anyone noticing, how do we know she was the only one? And that question, it landed like a grenade. Suddenly everybody was side-eyeing each other. And here's the twist: during those sweeps, contractors found another hidden device. Not on the playground this time, but tucked behind a floodlight near the community pool. For a second, everyone thought Karen had somehow planted it before her trial. But when police checked the feed, it wasn't linked to her server. It was brand new. Different setup, different tech, which meant someone else had joined the game. The neighborhood went from outrage to paranoia overnight. Parents started covering their kids' phones. Kids weren't allowed to play unsupervised anymore. And people began wondering, was this just Karen's obsession? Or had she sparked something in someone else? Maybe another HOA member, maybe a neighbor who wanted their own control. Whatever it was, it meant the story wasn't over. Karen, of course, swore it wasn't her. For once, she might have been telling the truth. She even held a shaky press conference on her front lawn, cameras rolling, insisting she'd paid her debt and was being unfairly targeted. But standing behind her at that exact moment, a group of parents shouted back, "You started this," and the whole scene turned into a circus. Now, here's where it gets even more cinematic. A few days later, a mom named Elena came forward with something shocking. She said her teenage son had been approached months earlier by a neighbor asking if he could help install small cameras for a neighborhood watch project. He didn't think much of it at the time, brushed it off. But now, hearing about the second device, he realized maybe he'd been talking to the copycat. He couldn't identify who it was, said it was dark, the guy wore a cap low, but he swore it wasn't Karen. So now the cops were back, the HOA scrambling, the neighbors more divided than ever. On one side, people demanding Karen be forced to sell her house and leave. On the other side, a smaller but vocal group saying, hold on, if someone else is doing this, maybe we've been so busy blaming Karen, we're missing the real threat. And the irony? The woman who turned the playground into a surveillance zone was now claiming she was a victim of surveillance herself. Yeah, you can't make this up. The playground reopened. The pool was cleared of devices, but trust was gone. Every new flicker of a light, every strange box or wire, neighbors jumped. Parents stopped waving at each other, stopped hosting barbecues. The community, once tight-knit, was unraveling, all because of one woman's obsession and maybe someone else who saw an opportunity to stir the pot. And that's where the story leaves us, not with closure, but with a question mark. Was Karen really the lone villain, or just the spark that lit a fire she couldn't control? Is there another neighbor hiding behind a perfect lawn and fake smile, watching, recording, waiting? Because in that neighborhood, every swing of the playground and every ripple of the pool carries the same uneasy thought someone might be watching. So let me ask you, do you think Karen was the scapegoat? Or do you believe there's another hidden player still out there? And if you're living in that neighborhood, would you move away or fight to take it back? Drop your thoughts below, because this isn't just about one playground anymore. It's about how far people will go when safety crosses into obsession.